Welcome to another 78 Camaro video. You see the rear end's in. We're getting ready to put the shell on the rotisserie, and I believe he was in here working on the front stub, so getting that all cleaned up. Okay, so here's the car, there's the rotisserie. I got a feeling we'll be figuring out how to make this happen. It's not like you can just buy a kit or anything, so it usually involves figuring out where it looks like we want to grab it. Hopefully he's looked on the internet and seen where other people are grabbing them. I do recall that we needed this tail pan on, and it is, so that's a good start. You can see where he was working in here, and he got her all primered back up. So yeah, guy everywhere he's been working, he's got everything taped off, keep it all nice and tidy. Yep, so that's how some other people have been doing it. Okay, so luckily there's a trans tunnel in this, so we gotta get this to the front, that one to the back, and then figure out where we're securing. We've seen examples in the past of people using this set of body mounts coming forward to the front one. And then he says he saw somebody using the shackles as a location point, and other people, of course, using, you know, your standard bumper mount bolts location. So we'll look into that and see what makes sense for us, knowing that he's got, you know, welding and work to do in this area. Anything we can do to kind of keep metal out of his way sure would be nice. So we'll look at it, because remember, he wants to put in the trunk drops and do all that and get any welding in here he's got to do. So we'll start looking at it and we'll figure this out. We're kind of looking at things, and while we were originally looking back there, we have seen other people use this front mount. And remember, this thing doesn't even weigh 500 pounds. It's pretty light, you know. So we're suddenly thinking these up front. So I've got a little slide block on his. We don't want to modify these because they're going to be used on the 57 in the future. So we can slide a slide block on there, just weld a little plate to it, and pop our bolts in, is what we're thinking. So we're just seeing what that looks like. So now we don't have it completely slid together. You know, we haven't figured out the back yet, so that nut is still loose, but we got them tied. And we really started looking at it, and really there's no reason we can't just increase this hole size for this bolt. And we used holes that we'd already drilled in here. They line up really well, so that's how we're going to do the front. I really like where the center is going to be. Think that's going to work out nice. We may wind up having to actually raise this a post to be able to flip the car, but we will look at that in a bit. We still haven't figured out exactly how we're doing the rear yet, but you know, one thing at a time. Obviously it'll get closer to the car, but I'm starting to think that we're probably going to locate off of this somehow, make something that comes down and slides around these, makes a collar and comes up. So I don't know, we'll see. Okay, there's been some thinking and there's been a little work. We swapped these arms around on the back to get the 55 mounts out of the way, and what we're looking at, we really did look at doing the shackle mounts, but it might be in the way a little bit when he's trying to weld that trunk drop. So what we were really looking at how this is all built up, and this, just these two holes alone would be more than enough to support it. So we've got it lined up pretty good here and pretty good there. So what we think we can do is just get a little plate here, you know, something thick, make these holes to hold those, and then take some square stock, weld to the plate, bring it out, weld to these, you know, kind of like how this is, and that should hold up this 400 or 500 pounds no problem. Okay, so what we've got is a bolt. On the other side of this is a nut that we ground off a little bit to act as a spacer, and then everything in here on both of those. And then the idea is to kind of clean this up a little bit, figure out exactly where on the arm it needs to be, get it flush in here, get it cleaned up enough, get a few tack welds on there, and then we can take the plate off and weld it, do it on both sides. So we think that's going to be more than strong enough. And then it means that this, for the 55 and the 56 and the 57, although we don't have a 56, this doesn't have to get changed, and now that can work on the Camaro as well. When we do the back, we knew that this wasn't perfectly level, so by using the valve relief for this side on there, we played a little up and down and up and down and up and down until the front of the car is pretty level now, based on, you know, all these dimensions being roughly the same. Because what we don't want to do is have that sitting a little cockeyed and then weld these on here straight and then introduce a twist into the car. So see, now we'll get this arm level right here, and once that's level, we'll lock it down, and that's where we're going to set our bars. Okay, so we'll fight with that. We've got cleaned up where we have to. So he's going to put a tack on here, and then I'm going to hold that up against here square, and he'll get a tack on there, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, and now he's just doing a couple tacks so that we can actually weld it for real without the clamp. After fighting on there trying to weld, we figured the safest thing to do is just pull an arm and put it on the table. It's a little ugly, but we're getting there. We're actually starting to get some welds we're proud of. That was one of the ones we did while it was on the car, and then there was a tack on this side, but now I just feathered it to either side, and we're starting to get good penetration even on this rust. We ran out of wire, but that's what always happens. And like I said, this isn't the prettiest. In fact, it's weird. The pretty welds are on the bottom. Oh well, they're strong. They're not going anywhere. So we're gonna get this one off and do that. We should have done what we were going to do in the beginning and just tack it and take it down and weld it on the table, but we thought we'd get it in here, but you can see all that's happening, so we'll get her down. We're about to find out if we're idiots or if we did an okay job here. That was interesting. So we've got the cross bolts snug down, and we kind of got them all pulled in. We've got these guys all snug. We're on pins. These are probably not snug enough. I will go ahead and do those in fact here, because they're 3/4, which is also 19 millimeter. Let's just make sure that they're reasonably tight. Okay, let's do this one. I'm not going crazy, but I also don't want this movement, because we're not fabricators. We're just people goofing off. Gotta have something to do. This is America. All right, drop her down just a little. Okay, little more. Okay, car is free. Let's go ahead and start going around and doing some shake, rattle, and roll before we go any further. We shook it a little bit, and you know, it's not going anywhere. Now this thing's no dune buggy. It doesn't roll around all that nice, and it doesn't rotate all that nice. We're gonna see, does that body line right there clear those bolts? So we'll be right back. Okay, so look at that. You can work on the bottom of the car comfortably. I still suggest while you're working, you take an axle stand or something and you set it on the, like the pinch weld here, so that, you know, while you're working and banging, it doesn't want to rotate. Because unfortunately, we're still not perfect on our center of gravity. We should have been a little closer down, but this is doable. This works. So he'll be able to get in there and get it all cleaned up, get these trunk drops in, get them welded up nicely. You know, do your seam seal in here. Yeah, that's all gonna come out nice. Get it all painted, get all the stinking sand out. I got showered with sand when we went to move it. The sill was just full of them. Yeah, you got a little repair on the inner rocker up here. Other than that, I'm not seeing a whole lot. A little bit of damage on the rocker there. That'll be an easy fix for you. And this is the one you fixed. Other than that, the floor looks really good, which we already knew. We'd been under the car. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. It's going to be a lot easier to get it all painted this way. So yeah, that worked. We now have the 78 sitting on the rotisserie. With that, I think I'm going to turn this over to ShopRex, have him wish you all a good night. I'm a little exhausted. We all remember I'm not a welder, and I don't remember ever actually using this machine. So it did take us a little time. Some of these welds are pretty ugly, but strong. A couple of them actually didn't come out too bad towards the end, but that's the way that always is, isn't it? It's always that last couple welds that look good. So anyway, at this point, ShopRex is going to say thanks for watching, or don't eat the candy, or something along that line. I'm going to say thanks for watching. Have a good night. Just remember, ShopRex always says safety first.